Stefanski has made his statement clear about Shedeur Sanders' future and where he lies on the depth chart. It was pretty much heard around the world, bruh. Kevin Stefanski let it be known Dillon Gabriel will be quarterback 2 going into the start.
Kevin Stefanski really has a gift. Not the gift of coaching, not the gift of game management, not even the gift of making sure his players don't look like they were pulled straight out of a Madden simulation on rookie mode. No, Stefanski's true talent is finding new and innovative ways to test the patience of Browns fans. The latest experiment? Deciding that Dillon Gabriel, a quarterback whose NFL resume is shorter than a CVS receipt, is somehow the rightful QB2 over Shedeur Sanders, the guy everyone actually wants to see. Because nothing screams future of the franchise like hitching your wagon to a player who feels more like a temporary warm body than an actual plan.
You know, it kind of goes back to the previous discussion. It's such a all-encompassing evaluation. So everything the guys did in the games was important. We also saw a lot of them out here in practice and how they are at their craft. And he's certainly somebody that we think is getting better.
Let's be honest, Stefanski has been playing quarterback musical chairs ever since he set foot in Cleveland. One day it's Baker Mayfield, then it's Deshaun Watson. Then it's a revolving door of backups who seem to have been scouted at a Dave & Buster's arcade. And now, in 2025, he's apparently decided that Gabriel deserves to hold the clipboard a little closer to the action than Sanders. You know, just in case Watson's shoulder explodes again and the team needs someone to throw the ball directly to linebackers with consistency.
He said he felt as if Dillon Gabriel proved enough to beat out Shedeur Sanders for that spot. We all know Joe Flacco was going to be the starter regardless. They've been broke that news down. But what was more shocking is him naming Dillon Gabriel to be the backup. Now, we know Shedeur Sanders had that one good preseason game when he was actually out there with the same line that Dillon was out there with this last time. Now, it's not fair because Dillon Gabriel had the opportunity to work out with the twos twice in 2 different game scenarios. Shedeur Sanders was thrown to the wolves last game. He was out there with gym teachers and live.
The wildest part is Browns fans aren't even asking for much. They're not demanding that Shedeur start over Watson. They're just asking for the common sense move of making him QB2. Sanders has the arm strength, the pedigree, and the spotlight-ready confidence. Gabriel? He has what exactly? A highlight reel that looks suspiciously like Big 12 defenses taking the day off? It's like Stefanski looked at 2 cars in a dealership, one a shiny new model with potential, the other a scratched-up rental Kia, and decided, yeah, let's go with the Kia. It feels safer.
It was based on where Gabriel was drafted, ahead of Sanders by a few rounds, and as pertains to also their actual performance on the practice field and in games this preseason.
I think that Dillon Gabriel's performance on the practice field and in games confirmed the priors for the Cleveland Browns. They valued Dillon Gabriel as a better quarterback prospect than Shedeur Sanders, as evidenced by drafting one in the 3rd round and one in the 5th round. But they still liked Shedeur Sanders, as evidenced by doing the very rare thing and drafting a quarterback 2 rounds after already taking a quarterback when they already had a couple.
And this isn't just about performance. Stefanski's choice sends a message, and the message is basically, I'd rather cling to mediocrity than risk developing a star. Because giving Shedeur QB2 reps means admitting he might actually push Watson one day. And we all know Stefanski doesn't do competition well. This is the same guy who clung to Baker Mayfield until his arm fell off, then built his entire identity around Watson like the rest of the roster doesn't matter. He doesn't want excitement, he wants control. And nothing says control like burying the fan-favorite rookie behind a quarterback who looks like he was signed strictly because someone owed his agent a favor.
Here's my issue with Dillon Gabriel being named QB2 over Shedeur Sanders. I'm not even going to get into how he should be the starter, day one. But let's talk about how he's not QB1, but he's QB3. I know we all heard the comments that Dillon Gabriel recently made about Shedeur Sanders. I know he came out and he said it wasn't about him. Bro, you gotta be dumb to believe that. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, in an interview, Dillon Gabriel said there's competitors and there's entertainers, alluding to the fact that he is a competitor and Shedeur Sanders is only an entertainer.
Browns fans are justifiably losing it. They've suffered enough heartbreak to fill a lifetime of therapy sessions, and now they're being told that Sanders, who could at least bring some fire, some upside, some maybe this isn't the same old Browns, has to wait his turn behind Dillon Gabriel. That's like being told you can't have cake because the chef insists you eat the stale saltines first. Nobody asked for this. Nobody wants this. Yet here comes Stefanski, master of uninspired decisions, forcing everyone to pretend that Gabriel is a viable safety net.
Look, I just watched what happened to Shedeur Sanders in the Cleveland Browns' third and final preseason game. And I'm outraged, I'm sickened, and I'm saddened. By the way, Shedeur continues to be treated in the National Football League now by those sorry-ass Browns and sorry-ass Kevin Stefanski.
What makes it worse is that Sanders has been outshining Gabriel in practice. Reports keep trickling in about his poise, his precision, his ability to connect with receivers in ways Gabriel just doesn't. Even players have hinted that Sanders has the juice, but Stefanski, in all his wisdom, has decided experience matters more than ability. Translation: Gabriel is older, therefore he gets the job, even if that job involves holding onto it with both hands like it's a winning lottery ticket he doesn't deserve.
Shedeur Sanders is officially on the roster. Ain't no way in hell he wasn't gonna make it. He also gonna be the third QB. A lot of people mad. I see it as an opportunity. Think about it. Joe Flacco, old ass, he one snap away from retiring. And then you got Dillon Gabriel. Yeah, all them motherfucking interceptions he threw in that preseason. I know it's the preseason, but if he can throw it in the preseason, he damn sure can throw it in the regular season. All Shedeur got to do is sit back, watch his team lose, and they realize, oh, damn, we need a hero. We need somebody to come in here and save this fucking franchise. And would you look at that?
It's vintage Stefanski, really. Remember how many times he's chosen conservatism over common sense? Fourth and inches, game on the line, and instead of handing the ball to Nick Chubb, he'll call some bizarre wide receiver reverse because he thinks he's auditioning for Mensa. This Gabriel over Sanders fiasco is the exact same energy, needlessly complicated, guaranteed to backfire, and only existing to prove that Stefanski thinks he's smarter than everybody else in the stadium. Spoiler alert, he's not.
Y'all imagine if the roles were reversed? If Shedeur Sanders said anything like that about any of his teammates right now, he would have got instantly cut. Just like his brother had a little scuffle, instantly gets cut. The executives, GMs, coaches in the NFL do not want the Sanders boys to succeed. Even when Deion Sanders first became a coach, everybody was hating on him. Nobody gave him any credibility. And Deion Sanders has been a very successful coach. To me, Dillon Gabriel's comments should have instantly made him QB3 to start the year.
The irony is that Shedeur is exactly the type of quarterback Cleveland should be grooming. He's young, marketable, talented, and brings a level of confidence that the city hasn't seen in ages. The Browns finally have a chance to do something bold for once. Develop a quarterback with a name bigger than the team's reputation. But instead of leaning into that, Stefanski's burying him under Gabriel like a kid hiding candy under vegetables, hoping nobody notices. Except everyone notices, and they're furious.
Man, Kevin Stefanski said some shocking things about Shedeur Sanders after the final preseason game against the Los Angeles Rams. And we saw that game take place, and we saw Joe Flacco started out. Joe Flacco, Joe Cool. Joe looked pretty good. For a 40-year-old quarterback, he looked pretty good. But the thing about it is, Joe Flacco's out there with the first team unit. And, you know, he had his big play receivers out there. He had his big tight end, Njoku. He had Jerry Jeudy. He had the offensive line, the first string offensive line. So Joe moved the ball. He looked very impressive moving the ball down on the scoring play. And then we saw
Stefanski doesn't get it. Fans don't want safe. Fans don't want serviceable. They don't want another backup who exists solely to check in for 3 games and throw 6 interceptions before vanishing forever. They want a spark. They want to believe in something. They want Sanders. And instead, they're being told to settle for Gabriel, a quarterback whose claim to fame is being available.
Gabriel, under duress, do what he's asked to do. See, that's why Kevin trusts Dillon Gabriel. As much as we can go, well, because we're just curious. We want to see what Shedeur can do. I think on Saturday, A lot of them bad habits, trying to run out of the pocket instead of stepping up and going left or right. Holding on to the ball, you're not as comfortable. It's going to take hold. Can you get to 6 when Dillon and Shedeur are in there? Because I made an argument as much as I could, and you can't just hand the ball off every single down.
At this point, it feels like Stefanski's biggest strategy is trolling his own fan base. There's no other explanation. No coach can look at Sanders and Gabriel side by side, see the difference in ceiling, and honestly believe Gabriel deserves QB2. It's like Stefanski wakes up every morning, stares in the mirror, and asks, "How can I make Browns fans cry today?" Congratulations, coach. You've nailed it again.
So Shedeur out with an oblique injury. Now that gives Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry the excuse to be like, oh, see, Dillon Gabriel's the better quarterback to be the backup going into the season. It kind of gives them an out now that Shedeur got hurt. So it's very unfortunate. Shedeur's not available. Dillon Gabriel is. Dillon Gabriel played well. See, he fits our scheme better. So it's going to be a little bit of politics here for the Browns for sure, just because of the fight between the owner versus GM and head coach. Jimmy Haslam can say all he wants that he had no power over this. They wouldn't have drafted Dillon Gabriel if they wanted Shedeur Sanders. It would have never happened. They would have drafted Shedeur Sanders in the 3rd round. No one thought he was going to fall to the 5th round. I call bullshit on that.
But here's the kicker. This move doesn't just affect depth charts, it affects morale. Sanders sitting at QB3 signals to everyone in the building that Cleveland isn't serious about the future, that it's the same old Browns, more concerned about protecting egos than building momentum. And fans, rightfully, are exhausted by it. They're tired of safe. They're tired of watching the team hobble into mediocrity because the coach can't bring himself to take a risk.
I can't imagine there's many people that think Dillon Gabriel's a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. I don't care where they were drafted. And if the Browns are the one team that thinks that, then I'm going to suspect it's not true. They don't know what they're doing.
They've been on every quarterback evaluation for 30 years.
Right.
I never root against anybody.
Yeah.
But I'd be surprised if Dillon Gabriel's ever a legitimate starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. I'd be surprised. I just don't think.
Well, then it is a wasted pick because you took him in the top 100.
Yeah, but potentially may get away with it because of Shedeur.
Stefanski's decision to keep Gabriel ahead of Shedeur isn't just wrong, it's insulting. It insults the fans' intelligence, it insults the players who know Sanders is more dynamic, and it insults the very idea of trying to win something meaningful. But hey, at least Stefanski is consistent. Consistently cautious, consistently unimaginative, consistently doing the exact thing nobody asked for. And when Gabriel eventually trots onto the field, misses wide open receivers, and Browns fans start booing like it's a choir practice, Stefanski will stand there, arms folded with that same "I know better than you" look plastered across his face. Except he doesn't. Everyone knows better. And until he figures that out, Cleveland's going to keep drowning in decisions like this one. Because let's be real, Shedeur Sanders should be QB2, end of discussion. And the fact that he isn't tells you everything you need to know about Kevin Stefanski's coaching philosophy. Play it safe, frustrate the fans, and never, ever do the thing that actually makes sense. Classic Stefanski.